God bless my brothers and sisters. It's another day to worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Real quick, let me. I was making sure the verses in the titles popped up, the caption popped up, the description of the video. I just wanted to share with you all logic, right? Because that's what it's all based on. When you drive your car, you drive with logic and you drive with intelligence, right? Simplistic. Put the car in park, neutral, reverse, drive, right? First gear, second gear. You stop at a red light. These are all simplistic things that help, govern your life and help you get to a place safely. So that's why you put on the seatbelt, right? It's there to protect you. So if we have been taught that what we believe is true, and then everybody that's believing in a lie die, and then the outcome and the penalty of being deceived or participating in falsehood is going to hell, right? So this is the opportunity and the privilege that God gives us to learn his truth. And people say that we're always going to sin. This is what the false Christians say. But when you think about that logic, when you think about that logically, it doesn't make any sense. Because what is a sin? First of all, first and foremost, we got to start from the ground up, right? We got to take step by step. So what is a sin? When people say that we're always going to sin, they act like a sin is like, acting like they're asking you to pick up a boulder, or be able to, swim the whole ocean, be able to swim from Africa to America. Like they're asking you like it's things that's unreachable, things that's not possible, right? So a sin is God's commands and his words to mankind, his rules, his instructions, his ordinance. Okay. So in the Old Testament, you had the laws of Moses, the 10 Commandments, which still stands today. You had the books of the prophets where they were telling you, how God was displeased with the world's behavior. So when we understand what sin are only commands, instructions that our Creator, God, has given us to follow. So when someone says that we're always going to commit sin, that doesn't make any sense, because sins are the same as being commanded to wear a seatbelt. Sin is just like having laws in your nation. No matter where you're watching this video from, America, Africa, Australia, Asia, it doesn't matter. Sins are the same as laws in the natural world. So sins are the same. They're written down. They're instructions. There's no, difficult way that God is asking you to obey his commands. The same way you obey commands by man is the same way you obey commands by God. Because sins are ungodly acts, wicked acts, evil acts, disobedient acts, contrary to God's commands, which are in righteousness, which are in holiness, which are in godliness. The Bible said, for the grace that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lusts, that we should live soberly, righteously, and godly in this present world. So when you look at what the Bible says, it says, if you love me, keep my commandments. Why would he say that if you couldn't do that? Why would he say, keep his commandments if you couldn't do that? Why would he tell you to keep something that's not able to be kept? Why would he tell you, hey, I want you to swim the whole Atlantic Ocean? Okay? I want you to go from one continent to another continent, just swimming in the ocean. Okay? So, something that's impossible, why would God tell us that it's possible? That's like saying, I want you guys to live off of salt water from the ocean. Don't drink any fresh water. Even the Bible talked about how Moses struck the rock and fresh water, flowed from the rock. Right? So God is not saying, okay, I want you guys to drink salt water. You read it and you're like, okay, God said drinking salt water, but salt water affects our body and messes us up and different things like that. He's telling you to use the same discipline, the same compliance as you have been doing even before you were taught about God's word. But they teach this weird logic telling you that you're always going to sin. That's like saying you're going to always break the law. But what makes you to break the law? So what people don't want to understand, if you ask somebody right now who claims to be in Christianity, why haven't you killed somebody? Why haven't you stole today? They're going to say, because I didn't want to. You see that? So they don't want to do the sins that doesn't bring them pleasure. So the sins that bring them pleasure, they say, oh, we all make mistakes. Because now they're exposed and they're convicted. And it's their way to try to hide their evil and try to hide their wickedness. Right? Because if you ask them right now, did you commit these sins today? They're going to say no. And you're going to say, well, if everybody commits sins, why didn't you do this? You got people who never smoke, who haven't smoked a marijuana joint or blunt in 10 to 15 years. And they go around riding everywhere. You go to hotels, you smell marijuana everywhere. You got people who haven't looked at porn in many years. You got people who haven't drunk a sip of alcohol in many years. You got some folks who never watch porn. You got some people who never drunk alcohol or smoked marijuana or did cocaine. Just never had a desire to. So how do you say that we're always going to sin, but even you have stopped doing certain sins yourself? Wouldn't everyone in the world commit the same sins? Because see, their false deception of what they're trying to create as a reality is not supported with scripture. Because that means that none of the men of God besides Jesus would have been qualified to preach the word to you, because they would have been hypocrites. There's no way that you can be in darkness and say you're in the light. The Bible clearly says that God is light, right? No, that's him at all. And Jesus said in John 8 that he was the light of the world, that he's the light. And anybody that's in him does not walk in darkness. Darkness is sinful acts, sinful behaviors. There's no way that someone could be trusted to preach the word of God to you and still live in sin. They wouldn't relate to you. They wouldn't have a passion against darkness. They wouldn't arbor that which is evil and cling to that what is good. The only way a detective is good at what he's doing, he has to be on the opposite side of the fence of the people that he's apprehending or he's trying to apprehend. That's the only way. A drug sniffing dog is only good because it's been taught to find those drugs. It's been taught to smell out those drugs. They work on the weekend. They work throughout the week. They're constantly testing that dog's nose and fine tuning that dog's nose to want to find drugs. You understand? So a person who was living in sin and preaching the gospel, that doesn't make any sense, because every word that is coming out of that person's mouth is a contradiction to the way he's living. There's not one Bible verse that says that we're going to make mistakes in the New Testament. There's not one Bible verse that says that we're going to have mishaps and we're going to have stumbles and we're going to fall. Sins are the same as laws that are in the world. These false Christians done bump their head and they're delusional. They're saying things that doesn't make any sense. Everybody walks around talking about how intelligent they are. But let's think about simple logic. The logic is this: when you look at the Bible and talks about sins, these are ungodly acts against the righteousness of God. So for instance, if God said to love your neighbor as yourself, but you hate whites or blacks or Spanish, Caucasian, whatever the case may be, that is a sin, because your creator told you that he created you to love each other, right? To forgive one another. So now it's a choice. That's why in Genesis 4, he told Cain, before Cain killed his brother, God already told him. That's how your conscience works. Remember, God is showing you in the Old Testament the way how the conscience worked. So he told Cain, he said, Cain, why are you looking this way? Why are you wroth? Why have your countenance fallen? He said, if you do good, that you'll be accepted. But if you don't be good, sin is going to do what to him? It's in Genesis 4, right? So the Bible said that he talked with his brother and then he killed Abel. So he knew what he was doing. There's nowhere in the Bible that says that you don't know what you're doing. Then why will we marry our wives? Why did I marry Courtney if I can't control myself? If I'm going to fornicate with a woman or go and cheat, then why did I marry? Why are me and Courtney married now if we're all going to make mistakes? So you're saying that she married me for me to break her heart in the future. She married me for me to cheat on her in the future. So she denied every other person she could have married me so she can get her heart broken because we all make mistakes. So you got hired at a job and your boss is expecting you to be late every day. You put your money in the bank and you expect for that bank to lose your money when you go to withdraw it or go to ATM because everybody makes mistakes. So when you go through a drive-through, you expect spit and pee and feces in your food because somebody's having a bad day and they felt like pooping in your food or peeing in your drink or spitting inside your wrap because they're having a bad day. Do you expect people to not perform in perfection in the world? You go to a mechanic shop. You go to a mechanic shop. You do not expect that mechanic to make your vehicle worse than what it is. Matter of fact, you expect him to fix that vehicle better than its current state. That's why it's there. You don't go there and you want to hear them call you in a few days. Oh, your engine, we messed your engine up. Your transmission is gone. We made a mistake. We all make mistakes. They will never be in business. So all these delusional false Christians, you have to wake up. You've been brainwashed to think that way. You don't live as if you make mistakes. You don't live as if you don't know what you're doing. You can't even get hired at a job and convince the boss that you make mistakes. The world expects perfection from you. Look at what the word perfect mean, because y'all not educated. Jeremy, give me Keldrin, give me a definition of perfect real quick. Somebody go to Google and give me the word perfect real quick. Okay? I'm going to show you something real quick. What does the actual word perfect means? Okay? It means the best of the ability to whatever, that situation is. Okay? So when you look at Walmart, when you go to McDonald's, how many times have you been to McDonald's and you couldn't order French fries? I'm just asking. Have you ever been we don't got no French fries, guys. So what do McDonald's do to be in business this long that they never had a shortage of French fries? I'm just asking. What measures do certain first responders take to make sure their ambulances always can cut on when they turn it on? Have you ever seen a broken down ambulance on the side of the road? Have you ever seen a broken down fire truck on the side of the road? Have you ever seen a police car broken down on the side of the road? So what are police officers, ambulance, firefighters, EMTs, what are they doing that when you call them, they can be there? You ever see a police car overheat on the way to a emergency call? Thank you, Justin. Perfect. Having all the required or desirable elements, qualities, or characteristics as good as it's possible to be. Thank you, Justin. So what are they talking about? You can't be perfect. I brush my teeth every morning. You think it's one day that I haven't brushed my teeth? Do you forget to brush your teeth? You gonna walk around all that plaque and all that tartar and bad breath? I'm just asking. So you got a perfect track record. How many of y'all drive cars? Have you ever put any other liquid inside of where your gas goes besides gas? So you have a perfect track record of putting gas in your car. Have some of y'all ever been to prison before? So that means that it's times you could have punched somebody in the face, robbed somebody, touched a woman inappropriately, or a man, kidnapped somebody, robbed somebody. You could have did everything that any other human has done that broke the law. Couldn't you? Have y'all not got mad sometime and say, you know what? It's not worth it. Have y'all? So y'all don't want to keep it real. Have you had evil thoughts at times where you felt like doing something, but you thought and said, it's not worth it. I got a family. I got a job. I don't want to go to prison. I don't want to be taking showers amongst men. I don't want to be locked up in no 5x9, 6x9 cell. So you think about it, right? The same thing Cain did. but he chose to commit the crime against his brother. So what I'm saying to you, thank you, Justin. Somebody gonna keep it real. Justin said many times. So why is Justin right now able to watch this Facebook Live? Because he chose not to do what would have sent him to prison. Come on, brothers and sisters. So what's the difference? You've been brainwashed. Them people done gave you like you in the movie The Matrix. Red or blue pill. Which one you gonna take? Like y'all want to sit here and argue what you've been brainwashed and taught. Think outside of what somebody done taught you and use the brain that God has given you. Use the logic. You mean you gonna always sin? When you able to not sin right now? You telling me that you got a porn addiction. You don't got a porn addiction. You like to see naked women. You talking about? There's no law against you looking at someone that's naked. It's only a sin. The world don't support God, and God don't support the world. So don't sit here, oh, we always going to do this. No, you're going to do it because you're allowed to do it. If you're in certain countries that permitted, that was against those things, you wouldn't do it. Go to North Korea. Some of them countries where you can't even drink Coca-Cola. You ain't going to be saying you got no problem. You're going to be too scared to get beheaded or sent to prison. Because you have liberty is why you do things. What are you talking about? I'm at a park right now. You see soldiers camped out around us waiting for a mass shooter. It's not common to see mass shooters. It's not common for people just to get shot up at a park. You understand? Because more people want to live ethical than those who don't want to live ethical. More people want to do what's right than those who do what's wrong. That's why our country gives us so much leeway. Because they know that we have the choice. But they have first responders, just in case a person wants to give into what Cain gave into and walk about in mischief and commit evil and sinful acts. So when you're saying that we're always going to sin, by what logic can you say that? No Bible verse supports that. It says all have sinned. But when you become born again, that's the difference. Now you're taught the way. Yes, we all have sinned because we were ignorant to his knowledge and to his truths. We didn't know that if we looked upon a woman, it was a lust. Did David ever hear looking at Bathsheba with his eyes, he already committed adultery? Or was that not spoken in the four gospels? I'm just asking. So as a Christian, were the people in the Old Testament taught those intricate details about sin like we're taught today? No. They were taught, it was, with them, it was all more physical, right? Offerings, sin offerings, peace offerings. People just did that stuff because, remember, look at, you know it's the truth because look at Cain and Abel. Cain brought a sacrifice that God didn't accept because his heart wasn't in it. Abel brought the best because his heart was in it. So you see, people can do things because it's passed down. It's tradition. It was only a tradition to Cain, but it was a willing sacrifice to Abel. That's the difference. So just because you like the sin, the Bible even say that they found pleasures in sin. The Bible don't say anywhere you're going to always sin. Then why would they preach the word to us if we can't do what's right? In order for you to be able to make a choice and do what's right, you have power over your own will. The Bible even says it in Corinthians. I'm going to read it to you. I got all the verses, brothers and sisters, to support what I'm saying. I always talk to y'all first and then come with the Bible verses. There's nowhere in Scripture, I don't care if you try to go to 1 John 1:8, it's not going to work. Okay? You don't know what you're talking about. Anybody that supports that they're going to always sin, doesn't want to be a believer anyway. Because why would you support something that you're supposed to be against? Why would you do something that you're against? Eating feces. You don't see, I got a problem eating feces. People, where you going, boo? Boo. Right here? Okay. You don't see nobody gaining weight, excessive amount of weight for eating healthy, do you? Do you see anybody gaining weight for eating salads every day and grilled chicken breasts? People gain weight for eating excessive amount of food that's high in fats, high in carbohydrates. What happened? They probably locked it for the day. What you got to do? Okay. So, just think about, brothers and sisters. You don't live in this world thinking that people are going to make a mistake. Then why does the world react with frustration? Why does the world react with anger? If everybody makes mistakes, as the false Christian teaches, then why does the world respond with anger and frustration? If it's something that we all accept, and it's something of how the world is going to be. I mean, if it's the way, not something, if it's the way that the world is going to be, then why do everybody respond when wrongdoing is done to them with anger or frustration? Why do everybody respond with frustration? Why do everybody respond and say you shouldn't have done that? Because at a point of time, people, whatever crime was committed, a person at one point in time wasn't committing that crime. That's why I'm going to use this video. I'm going to pay for y'all. I'm going to play this video for y'all to show you what a judge is going to say to a woman. It ain't a man and a man. You know, it's two women that's talking to each other. But look how this judge uses, right, what she knows, wisdom, what she knows to deal with a person who committed a crime, right? A person that was in jail. All I'm saying to y'all is this, who claim to be Christians. If we all make mistakes, then why can't we go before a judge and say, hey, judge, I didn't have any money, I stole. Hey, judge, I don't know what came over me. You see what I'm trying to say? Because you've been created to know good from bad. What's wrong, Book? Bookie. Come here, Book. What's wrong with if people, come here, Book. If people are going to all make mistakes as the world tries to teach you, false Christians try to teach you, why does the world not respond that way? Why, when you go to court, they don't say, oh, it's okay, we all make mistakes? It takes the same discipline. What's wrong, Book? I can't hear you, baby. Mommy right there. Oh, you trying to do the bubbles? Huh? Boogie, I can't hear you. I can't hear you, baby. You gotta look when you're talking to somebody. You turning around. You trying to do the bubbles? Okay, mommy help you. I think he was looking for you because he want to do the bubbles. Mimi, go do the bubbles with mommy. Okay. Hi, mama. Don't go in the sand, Mimi. So, you coming with me? Huh? So, boo, you gonna get her? So, when you look at the world today, right? You look at the court system. Why do we even have a court system if everyone's going to say, hey, I just made a mistake? Women, when you date a guy, I'm just saying as Christians, we're not supposed to date, we marry. But I'm just saying the world operates this way, so I have to talk in a way that you understand. When you date someone, do you expect that person to sexually assault you, rape you, or hurt you? Do you expect them? We all make mistakes. You understand? That's not accepted. You take your child to daycare and someone drops your newborn baby. Someone drops your newborn baby, or verbally, physically abuse your child. You don't go pick that child up from daycare and say, it's okay. We all get mad sometime. You'll be like, especially with a child, y'all say, I don't care what they were going through. That's a child. They're innocent. So you're saying that no matter what is going on in that person's life, because that child is innocent, you feel that whatever they did to that child, they shouldn't have did, right? So you're still putting control in their hands. So all I'm saying is, why would God teach us these words that we can't obey? Why would there be laws in the world that we couldn't comply to, we couldn't obey? You want to know why? Because statistically speaking, there are more people who are living free and away from being incarcerated than there are those who are incarcerated. There are more people that's willing to live in poverty, middle class, work every day by the sweat of their brow, than to go out and commit a crime and rob a bank or rob somebody. You see? It's because they know that it's wrong. Just people give in to the wrong. That's why police are not riding around pulling over every car that rides by them, because they want to check them for drugs or for guns. They have to look for suspicious activity that goes against, right, the laws and rules and regulations in order for them to suspect the person of a crime. Right? So that's why you don't see police they just doing roadblocks every day. Right? Because you still have freedom and democracy. Right? You have laws, you have constitutional rights. So they just can't come in your house without a warrant. They just can't come in your house unless, someone is in there injured, or, you shot somebody, and, the law allows them to act, according to what's written in the laws. So this is why, you see police are relaxed. When you see them riding, they just going wherever they going. Unless they got the mercy lights on and they go into an emergency call. Other than that, they're not bothering nobody, because they know that you have the ability to do right. They know you have the ability to, be responsible. It's just that a person might throw away those rights, right? Because they choose to act in a violent or vicious or criminal way. That's the reality. So, let's watch this video. I don't have much time. Let me play this video. Okay. Let me spin this around. I want everybody to listen to this.
All right, and what is the other name underneath your arm? Amara, my daughter. Okay. All right, yes.
Judge, she did have a UCW handgun from the same incident date.
Super blurry.
And court 9. She got a JSAT on that, but I can those prosecutors to
destroy the weapon.
Yes.
All right. Now, let me just tell you, your 4-year-old daughter, she can't go out into the world and make her own choices, right? That's why she's living with your mom. She doesn't have employment. She can't take care of herself. And usually children don't make great decisions, especially at that age, because they want what they want. If you give them candy, guess what? They want candy all the time, right? So your 4-year-old is depending on you to make good decisions. Your mom to
Y'all hear
make
that?
good decisions, and you're not.
Good decisions.
I don't know what you were thinking, that you would think it would be okay to bring a fiance in your daughter's life who's been to prison, obviously is not rehabilitated, because you all are driving around smoking blunts in a car, and he has a parole warrant.
See that?
You need
See how they think in the world?
decision that you're going to be a good influence and a good parent to your 4-year-old, or either 100% get out of her life. Do you understand? Yes.
Governor, I just want to confirm if she resides here in Bear County or...
Oh, she's going to be here in Bear County. She will not be in Houston. Okay? All right. Thank you.
Did y'all hear that? Did you hear what the judge said? You can rewind it. You can look it up on YouTube. So you talk that we all make mistakes talk. And you talk that we're going to always do wrong. You go before these judges. You go before these court systems, these non-believers, and talk that weird, strange talk. They're going to put you away. You ain't see that lady sitting in there quiet? And when she did try to lie, I can go to the beginning of the video. When she did try to lie, the judge reprimanded her. You watch it yourself. Okay? I think her name is Judge, I don't know, something, I can't remember, but you can type it in. Okay? African-American judge in San Antonio, Texas, woman. Okay? So the lady in the lady who the judge was talking to, in the beginning, of that video, she was lying, right? She was saying that she didn't smoke any meth. So the judge was like, okay, if you got a meth problem, just let me know, so I can, do necessary thing I need to do to, to try to keep you from, being around those things, I guess set certain court orders. So they was like, oh, I don't do meth. And she was like, well, you're going to sit here and tell me that you don't do meth, and, hold on, let me get the lady name for you. Here she go. It's not saying her name. Bugs biting me. Judge Stephanie Boyd. That's her name. Judge Stephanie Boyd in San Antonio, Texas. Okay, look at her videos on YouTube. Okay, her name is Stephanie Boyd, Judge Stephanie Boyd in San Antonio, Texas. Now, look at the video I just played. You heard what she said to the woman. You got to make decisions. If you don't want to do this, you have to take, your child needs help. The child can't, think for herself. You're supposed to be there. Y'all watched it for yourself. Then what did she say? She said, if you don't want to do that, then get out of her life. That's what he told her. It's a choice. Okay? So, that's what was revealed and what was made known. So why does the court system not tolerate lies when the evidence is there? Right? The lady got arrested. She said your boyfriend, your fiance, was on parole, had a warrant, and y'all walking around smoking marijuana. That's how they got pulled over. So she was like, I don't know what you were thinking. So how come the judge is not talking to her as if we all make mistakes? Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does wrong. The judge wasn't saying that. Y'all watched it for yourself. Rewind the video when I hang up. Rewind the teaching when I hang up and watch it again for yourself. Or watch the whole clipping. Judge Boyd reprimands woman was being deceptive in church and deceptive in court. Okay? So the point that I'm trying to make to y'all is that why do us Christians know that we have power over our own will? And the Bible even says that. And why does the non-believers know that you know what you're doing? But the false Christian, it's like they brainwashed y'all. They took away your logic. They took away the soundness that you were created to have. And it's like joining a cult. A cult is teaching you things that are against the natural way. I'm talking about these cults that are having you to, you're calling another man God. And, remember there was a cult, in DeKalb County, this African-American guy. They was calling him Nature Boy. Nature Boy. He just got locked up. They just sent him to prison in DeKalb County, Georgia. His name was called Nature Boy. The people that was following him was calling him God. Right? A human being now. And they're calling him God. So when you're joining those type of cults like that, what gave them the belief that a human being was God? What gave him what gave the people that was following him the belief that this person was God and was committing sinful acts? The Bible said that God is a spirit. Okay? He said he was God, not Jesus. Okay? Not an angel, but actually God, the creator, just walking amongst man. Okay? Gets sick, he goes to sleep. Right? He does everything that God doesn't do. Was living like the devil, but his followers, the guy Nature Boy, they called him God. So did they ever read the Bible to see? You see the point that I'm trying to make? Y'all believing in something doesn't make any sense because Christianity is not built off of Christian, just like Islam. They copied our Bible and they're going to reject Jesus Christ as the New Testament teaches us that he is the Messiah. The Old Testament been saying that he was coming. So how can the Muslims copy the Old Testament where they talked about him in Genesis 3, Jesus, a child being born, right? And they said that he's just a prophet. But they talked about, even Moses said that God was going to raise up one that was going to save us, right? Even Moses said it. So they just was taught something. It was passed down to them. And now all of a sudden the Bible is not a good book. But you done looked at this house, stole wood from this house, took many of the amenities that's inside the house, and then going to say, oh yeah, the house is no good. Everything in it is no good. This is the true house. But you will have no house without our wood. You'll have no house without our concrete. You'll have no house without our amenities. You'll have no house without the design that we first created. Then you're going to basically steal our materials, and then try to tell the rest of the world that this house ain't no good. But the reason why you're even calling Allah God, because our Bible first said God. The reason why you even acknowledge Abraham and Isaac and Jacob in Islam is because our Bible first said it first. How you going to bump our Bible out the way and then say the Quran is the true messenger from God, Muhammad? One man that appeared from nowhere, right? And no savior, but y'all gonna just go to paradise and smoke hookahs and lay up with many virgins and different things. Like, I mean, whatever. You understand? It doesn't make any sense. There's no history with Islam but what people created, right? You have a religion that have impacted the whole world. Much of Islam was taught through violence, okay, control, and whole nations. The word Christian was taught by faith, whoever's willing to believe. It's not in governments. It's not controlling. You look at Saudi Arabia, what is the dominant religion? And women must dress up and do certain things. And you see what I'm saying? They're forcing their religion amongst the world. Okay? Their influences. Christian is rejected amongst the whole world. Only those who believe and have the spirit are a part of the true faith. Our government don't accept the Christian faith. They accept Christianity, not the Christian faith. Okay? Christianity is not a threat to their politics. Christianity is not a threat to their politics. It's not a threat to their inaugurations. It's not a threat to, the laws they pass. Because the Christian people in Christianity are doing the same thing. Remember, there's 200 million people in this country that claim to be Christians, which aren't Christianity. Much of them are behind the votes that are passed. Much of them are behind who gets put into office. Many people that voted for many of these presidents who stood against the ways of God, they supported them. So you see what I'm trying to say? Christianity was all designed to make you feel that you're not who you are, because you can't outrun your conscience the same way you can't outrun your shadow. Okay? So it was designed to make you feel that you wasn't a sinner, even though you are. Right? It was designed to try to numb your conscience. So when you watch the video, that judge said that you have to make decisions, right? Make choices. And if you don't want to be in your child's life and raise her properly, then get out her life. Give her to someone else who's willing to be responsible, because you have a choice. That judge didn't say, I understand because of the drugs you're doing, and I understand. No, because there was a time that you there was a time that you were sober. There was a time that you couldn't get drugs. You're in jail right now. You can't do drugs. So you know you can live without it. The drugs is what gives them the false sense of happiness, the false sense of pleasure, because of what it makes a person feel. That's like me, how it makes a person feel. Me and Sarah, I was telling Sarah, she was like, I can't believe people do that. I said, but Sarah, you got people who smoke marijuana, that somebody might look at that and be like, I can't believe they smoke marijuana. She was like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, so we can't look at any drug just because, the world says it's hardcore. Anything, to me, all the drugs are bad, because it alters your judgment. It takes you from a place of sound mind, and complete, being consciously aware, to alter that. People get high, their eyes are low, they're red, they feel tired, they feel sleepy, they get hungry, Some people get so high they get paranoid off of marijuana. They got some strong stuff out there. You get the hallucinating. People be sprinkling it with certain chemicals. You know, everything. So all the drugs to me is bad. Marijuana is a drug. Okay? It's a drug. It comes from the earth. What doesn't come from the earth? What do we have today that's floating around and don't come from the earth? Even artificial things come from where? Okay? Where do they make artificial things from? Where does plastic come from? Where does rubber come from? So like what doesn't come from? So what is not in our existence? You understand? Even germs and, you know, viruses, whatever, these, even though you can't see them, they're still here. Okay? So all I'm trying to explain to you is, you know, you look at the lady that I just played, she's proven to you that you know better. You know right from wrong. She did not speak to that woman as if the woman didn't know better. She didn't speak to her and say, oh, we all make mistakes. When we play it again? When we play it again? Let's play one more time. Okay? Let's play one more time real quick.
All right, and what is the other name underneath your arm?
Amara, my daughter.
Okay. All right, yes.
Judge, she did have a UCW handgun from the same incident date, County Court 9. She got a JSAT on that, but I can those prosecutors to
Destroy the weapon?
Yes.
All right. Now, let me just tell you, your 4-year-old daughter, she can't go out into the world and make her own choices, right? That's why she's living with your mom. She doesn't have employment. She can't take care of herself. And usually children don't make great decisions, especially at that age, because they want what they want.
Children.
You give them candy, guess what? They want candy all the time, right? So your 4-year-old is...
Because adults supposed to know that you're not supposed to eat candy all the time, right? You got to have balance. You see what she's saying? Listen what she's saying. That's logic.
depending on you to make good decisions.
The daughter is depending on you to make good decisions. Not that we know that you're going to make mistakes. You know why they know that it's possible to not do what this lady is doing? Because many women are not doing those things, and we're all humans. You understand? So they understand logic. Many women are not doing those things. So we know you can do it.
Your mom to make good decisions, and you're not. I don't know what you were thinking that you would think it would be okay to bring a fiance in your daughter's life who's been to prison, obviously is not rehabilitated, because you all are...
You see how they think? Rehabilitated. Y'all know what that means, right? So they don't feel that you can't change or you won't change. They even set up certain things to make you change.
Driving around smoking blunts in a car, and he has a parole warrant. You need to either make a decision that you're going to be a good influence and a good parent to your 4-year-old, or either 100% get out of her life. Do you understand? Yes.
Y'all see that? You see that? Make the decision. Come on, now let's go to the Bible. Now, it's a shame that unbelievers can say this stuff. And then the ones who are claiming to be false Christians act like you don't have a, like, they don't even make any sense. Because they'll sit there and be like, I love my wife. I never cheat on her. She's the apple of my eye. There's something, whatever they be saying. Right? So you like, man, brother, you ain't never think to cheat on her? Nah, never came in my mind. Because you don't find pleasure in that. So people, that's what I'm saying. Like, sin is a choice. That's why we're able to make the choice when we hear God's word to not do it. Like, you don't see how they preach to people. They didn't preach in the way you're going to always make. They're like, man, repent for your sins and turn and say something untoward generation. Cleanse your hands, you sinners. Purify your hearts, you double-minded. Like, they're not sitting here telling you, oh, yeah, Jesus came and he died for our sins, and he just want to let you know that he's not happy with your ways, okay? He's going to die, and he understands that you're going to do wrong, okay? You're going to make mistakes. But just try, okay, when you walk around, just keep him in your mind, okay? And think about him, you know, after you commit the sins. And it's okay, because as long as you just say his name, that's okay. As long as you just acknowledge him, that's okay, okay? And everything is going to be all right. All right, okay, guys? Okay. It's not what they're telling you. False Christians say you will always sin, but the non-believing world thinks otherwise. I can prove that Christians know we don't sin, and non-believers know you can choose to do right or wrong. I will use our court system. Why does the jail let people go? Why do people get out on prison? Why do people get out of prison? Why do people get probation and parole? So they let people go. They let people get out of prison who committed even heinous crimes as murder, robbery, rape, and everything. Right? They're letting them get out. If they felt that a person couldn't do right, and they wasn't rehabilitated. I mean, they was rehabilitated. Why would they let you out? If they felt that you couldn't do right, why did they let you out? If they felt that because of your achievements in prison, the classes you took, your behavior, you not getting write-ups or getting sent to solitary confinement, they said, well, this person has been conducting itself for the last 15, 20 years. So if this person was able to be around all this chaos, which you see in prison, all these, violent inmates and all these people who can't function in society, if they're able to sit in here and not get caught up in, the dramas of prison, the violence and the gang wars and the drugs, they can make it in the streets. If you can make it in prison and be a model inmate, you can make it in the world being a law-abiding citizen. That's why they give you parole. This is facts. Okay? Because they know that you can do what you want to do, but people choose to do wrong. Just like the Bible said, light came into the world, but men love darkness rather than light. Not that men are just going to sin because they just can't. Like, that don't make any sense. Why would Christ ever came? If you couldn't change, why would he convict the world? If people don't, you can't help the way that God made you to be. Doesn't make any sense. That's like children being born and you're like, oh, wish this child wasn't here. Right? But you made him, you brought him, you and the other person played 50-50 in getting them here. Doesn't make any sense. Why God going to create us and we can't be the way he wants us to be? You saying God failed us as a creator? We're damaged goods. We come from the factory already with some recalls. Come on, brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is he saying? He's teaching us. Certain crimes in our country and world is a sin. If you commit a crime, can you tell the judge to let you go? Can you say we all make mistakes? No. You're going to go to prison. Why do non-believers understand you have control over all you do, but not false Christians? Okay, rehabilitation. I wrote that down. 1 Corinthians 13:11. Then when you heard what the lady said, she said that your daughter is a child, so she can't make decisions for herself. This is why you have to take care of her. She's with your mom right now, and look what Paul said. You see what I'm trying to say? That's what I'm saying. How do we understand it? But the false Christian don't understand it, because this is a whole false Christianity goes against, the world. Like as far as like the way you have to function, as far as like obeying laws and rules and stuff like that, and it goes against the Christian faith. Okay, look what Paul said in 1 Corinthians 13:11. Paul said, "When I was a child, I spake as a child, I understood as a child, I thought as a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things." You hear that? So you're no longer doing things that children do. He said he spoke, understood, and thought as a child. But when he became a man, that means being born again, he put away childish things. That's what the gospel does. That's why the Bible said, for the grace that bringeth salvation, which is the gospel, has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, denying it. You see, that's how you know you got the ability. You hear me? Let me say it again. For the grace that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, that we should live soberly, righteously, godly in this present world. Denying. You see that? If you ever deny something, what does that mean? That puts power in your hand, right? So that's what I'm saying. They brainwashed. We've all been taught this lie without any biblical proof. They can't use 1 John 1:8. That don't say anything about it. You're going to sin. Or so we have no sin. Yeah, he's talking to the Jews. But you can't use that. There's nowhere it says you're going to sin in the Bible. It does in the New Testament. It does not say that as a Christian. It does not. Okay? Not as a Christian. So childish means what? Foolish, silly, irresponsible. So Paul said, I put away foolish, which means stupid ways, silly ways, and irresponsible ways. So that means he became responsible. He became grave. Okay? And he became, right? a holy and righteous, godly servant of God. Okay? Childish is also of a person, attitude, or actions not showing proper sense or responsibility. So Paul said he put those things away. Y'all see that, brothers and sisters? So where are they getting this from? This is our Bible saying this. Now, Bible don't say anything about you're going to always sin. It does not say that. But we're in the flesh. We're not in the flesh. Romans 8 tells you that. Galatians 5 tells you that. A false Christian taught you that because they like to sin, and they've been brought in this cult that wants them to believe that they're different than everybody else. Okay, Ephesians 5. Let me ask you this real quick. If you say that we're all going to sin as Christians, right? And a non-believer sees that one sin that you committed, would they be moved to come live for God? Wouldn't they put you in a category and label you? So you might think about it. You might don't do this and that sin every day, but the one time that the unbeliever sees it, what are they going to say? They're going to label you. It only takes one time for someone to get angry, for someone to get mad, for someone to be lustful, and a baby is born. It only takes one time for someone to be lustful and they get AIDS through sex. It only take one time for somebody to be lustful and get STDs. It only take one time for somebody to get mad and smite somebody and kill them. It only takes one time for someone to be impatient and speak and say a bad word, right or wrong. And that word, that lust, that anger, whatever it is that you gave into that one time, or once a week, is enough to put you in prison the rest of your life, is enough to destroy lives, is enough to bring a child into the world, and the mom and the dad doesn't want to be together. It's enough to hurt somebody, feelings, etc. Right? All because of that. No one is perfect, but whatever sin you commit, you not perfect people, and we always going to sin people who claim to be Christians. Tell me the impact that sin has on the world. Tell me the impact that anger has on the world. Tell me the impact that murder has on the world. Tell me the impact that lust has on the world. Tell me the impact, right, that frustration has on the world. Tell me the impact, right, that Keldrin said, they will see that you're not a real Christian. You fake. I had it happen in the past long ago. You see what I'm trying to tell y'all, brothers and sisters? They're not going to be drawn to want to live for God. Think about what I'm trying to explain to you. You have to live spotless and blameless. I'm going to read it to you. The Bible never supports you living in sin. Y'all don't understand that there are 2 billion people in this world who are false, that have taught you these lies, brothers and sisters. They can't support it. That's why they're all divided. Tell me today, what's portrayed to be the Christian faith today? Tell me it don't look like Bloods and Crips, Vice Lords and GDs. It don't look like fraternities. It don't look like segregation. Think about it. Why they all got different names? Why they all got different denominations? Why they all are bashing one another? Because they're of the world. The world does that. Look at all the rappers, the female rappers. How many are cool with each other? How many rappers are cool with each other? How many R&B singers? You had Al Green that was like, yeah, I would have loved to do a song with Marvin Gaye back in the day. But because of pride, and because he said people wasn't really doing collaborations like that back in their day or their era, people did, but that's what Al Green said. You see what I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters? It's not in them because they in the world. Because that's what Satan teaches you. He don't teach you love. He teach you hate, division, right? He comes to steal. He comes to steal, kill, and destroy. You see? So this is what I'm trying to explain to y'all. This is the way the world is. Y'all got to understand that. So when you look at Christianity today, it's not representing unity. It's not representing love or togetherness. It's representing segregation and hate. You see that? It's not love. Where's the love at? So you even see Paul saying it. Look what it says in Ephesians 5:15. See that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time because the days are evil. Circumspectly means carefully to consider all circumstances and possible consequences in a way that is careful and avoid risks. You see that? What Bible are they reading? They're not reading it. This is why God having me teach this, to show you the truth. As long as the word of God has been in the world, Satan has always moved men while them hearkening to him to create false versions of God's word. You see in the Old Testament, how many prophets did God raise up to rebuke the children of Israel? And they still rebelled against God. They still created Pharisees and Sadducees. There's nowhere in the Old Testament that Jews were permitted to call themselves such. They created denominations in the four Gospels. The Jews did. They still was going to the synagogues. They were still going to the temples. They were fasting. They were praying. They were reciting out of the laws of Moses and the books of the prophets. But then when the word of God came in their midst, the living word, they rejected it because they was what they were doing was built off of a false foundation, the way you see Christianity today. That's why their name, remember, there's nowhere in the Old Testament that they called Jews Pharisees and Sadducees. There's nowhere in the New Testament that you see Christians calling themselves by denominations, naming their own church names, coming up with their own ministries that nobody ever had their own ministry. They said the ministry was reconciliation. Okay? That's the ministry that we have been given as servants of God. That's everybody who's born again. Okay? If we have a calling to preach or to teach or whatever. Everybody, apostle, prophet, teacher, pastor, evangelist, reconciliation. Okay? Now, so you see how when the Bible is right here, how are they still walking around paying tithes and offerings? That's something that Jews did. That's in the laws. But their whole setup looks like what they're trying to portray as what the Christians did. Make it make sense. The Pharisees were calling themselves Pharisees and Sadducees, but still kept trying to recite Moses and still trying to talk about Abraham as their father and still going inside these places to fast and to pray and to gather. So some things that you were seeing in the Old Testament, they were doing in the four Gospels, but their whole setup was not identical to the laws of Moses. Their behavior was not identical, but contrary to the laws of Moses. Today, they're saying church. They're saying apostle, prophet, pastor, evangelist, teacher. But they don't look like the apostles, prophets, and the rest of the brothers that you see in the New Testament. They're not even unified. They're on the same clock, the same calendar that the Romans had set up. The Babylonians before them. They're on the same function as the world. They're segregated. They're on Google telling you, oh, you know, the Bible has been altered. It's been changed. But they're up there every Sunday preaching from that altered Bible as they feel. Does it make any sense? How did the living word come to this world? And the Jews, who were God's chosen people, rejected the truth. They even said that no man came to ask Jesus Christ any more questions because he put them all to shame. They couldn't fight the truth, brothers and sisters. They said they couldn't resist the wisdom and spirit in which Stephen spoke. They couldn't resist the truth in what he spoke. Stephen broke it all the way down. Go read it. Start in Acts 6 and then go to Acts 7. Read it for yourself. Stephen broke it down. He knew that word. He told him how everything started all up until Christ. You see? So you can act like Jesus said that he told them in Isaiah and in Matthew that they worship him in vain. That they was taught the commandments of men. That's right, Justin. Justin said the apostles didn't go out and build their own churches and write books. That's right. Paul said one plant, one water, God give the increase. They never claimed to be over no churches. They never said, Paul always said, I'm an apostle to you. right? That God has sent me to you. And Ephesians says that. Affecting the saints, work of the ministry. So Paul only spoke, he never said to my church at Corinth, I'm an apostle over this church at Corinth. I'm an apostle over church of Ephesians. They never did that. Okay? They just went where God sent them to preach, to be used, and walk in the power and authority of the Holy Spirit. God being with them, right? To fight against the forces of darkness, to fight against Satan and his evil spirits. Okay? So that's how we understand it. So let's go back to the word. So you see, it says circumspectfully. That means not to make mistakes. 1 Corinthians 7:37. Nevertheless, he that standeth steadfast in his own heart, having no necessity, but has power over his own will, and has so decreed in his heart that he will keep his virgin, does well. You know what own will mean? Voluntary choice or decision. You see that? There's nothing that's telling us that we're going to commit sins. But what Christianity taught through 2 billion mouths, to the mouth of 2 billion people. That's it. But they can't prove it with scripture. James says, I'm showing you different men of God who all said the same thing. The different men of God have all said the same thing in the New Testament. Look what James says. Blessed is James 1:12. Blessed is the man that endureth temptation. You already say endureth, not give in to temptation. You see that? I don't know what they're talking about today. He said endureth, because there's temptation everywhere. On your car goes 140, 160, 120. Most speed limits in America only go to 80 miles per hour. Some places in Texas. Rest is like 70 and 60 and 65. Okay, 55. Just depends where you at. But your car goes faster than the legal speed limit. So that's temptation right there, right? Blessed is the man, though, that endureth temptation, not give into it. For when he is tried, he shall receive the crown of life, which the Lord has promised in them that love him. Let no man say when he is tempted, I am tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil, neither tempt any man. So how do you have the Holy Spirit and say that you still sin? How do you have the Holy Spirit and say that we all gonna make mistakes? When they saying that God doesn't tempt any man. And the Bible saying in Corinthians that God will walk in you and be your God. The Bible say that God is light and darkness at all. So you have the Spirit of the living God inside of you, who has no darkness in him, right? Who tells you to have no fellowship, who are rather reprove them. How can he tell you to reprove darkness if you have darkness in you? And wouldn't that make you a hypocrite? Oh, hey, you that smoke crack, go and tell everybody in the crack house don't smoke crack. They what they're doing is bad. But you go in there with a crack pipe in your mouth and tell them the same thing. Come on, brothers and sisters. That's a hypocrite. Even non-believers understand that. Let no man say when he's tempted, I'm tempted of God. For God cannot be tempted with evil. You tell me, man. So how are you tempted how are you living in darkness when you say you have God in you? Where is that coming from? Because the Bible said that the flesh is crucified with affection and lust. And the Bible said we're not in the flesh. Okay? But every man is tempted. Listen to what he's saying. But every man is tempted. James 1:15. I'm sorry, 1:14. But every man is tempted when he is drawn away of his own. You see that? You keep hearing that one, own? You just heard own will from Paul. Now you're hearing own lust from James. They telling you that you have the ability to do what you choose. It's that simple. I'm out here doing this video right now because I chose to do this video. I'm in agreement. The Bible say, delight yourself in the Lord, your desires of your heart. Okay? It says, of his own lust and entice. Then when lust has conceived, it bringeth forth sin. And sin, when it is finished, it bringeth forth death. Do not err, my beloved brethren. Every good gift and perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. He don't change. You see that? 1 Corinthians 10:13. Now look how Paul about to support what James just said. These are two different men, right? I told you these were true Christians. What you see today, these people are false. It's only 1% that's true in this world today. There's only 1% of people in this world today who are true Christians. Myself, and I can't tell you the other ones. Okay? 1 Corinthians 10:13. There has no temptation taken you, but such as common to men. Ain't that what James just said? Blessed men that endure temptation. See that? See how they wrote, see how God gave him the word? James said his part. But now, Paul is explaining what James was saying. Even though it's a whole different letter and to different people, but we all can read the same book, right? So look how deep it is. There has no temptation taken you, but such as is common to men. You see that? Common. Everybody will go through it. But God is faithful. Listen what he's saying. Who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able. You see that? But will, with the temptation, also make a way to escape, they may be able to bear it. Same thing Joseph did in Egypt with Potiphar's wife. You see that? He said, but God is faithful who will not suffer you. That means not let you go through it. You see? So how all these 2 billion so-called Christians talking about they sin? Well, clearly you're not a Christian because God is not doing what he said he's going to do for you in your life. So are you saying that God's word is a lie or your faith is questionable? 2 Thessalonians 2:10. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Listen what he's saying. They received it not. Not that anything prevented them from receiving it. Their own choice. They is talking about who? Not no devils, no evil spirit, no animals. Talking about mankind. And with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish. You see that? See, deceivableness, righteousness, these are sinners. Those who are, false believers. Those who are whoever in the world. False Christians. Deceiving righteousness, right? And what does it say? Because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause, God shall send them strong delusion that they should believe a lie. This is where you get Christianity from. That they all might be damned who believe not the truth, but had what? Pleasures in unrighteousness. I told y'all, it's nothing that makes you do it but yourself. The same way you masturbated before you even heard of one Bible verse. The same way you fornicated before you knew that the Bible said fornication was wrong. It's your choice. God is not hearing that. You understand? You only taught something that doesn't make any sense because you accepted the foolishness. That's why the Bible say, if any man come and bring not this doctrine, don't allow him to your house, nor bid him Godspeed. They tell you basically ignore him, right? Don't listen to that foolishness. Even Paul said in Galatians, he said it was false brethren that came in. He said, who they ain't let speak not for 1 hour, that the truth might remain with you. Titus 3. Put them in mind to be subject to principalities and powers, to obey magistrates, to be ready to every good work. You see that? So why would God write about obeying magistrates, principalities and powers, if they didn't stand as a form of justice? Okay? Rightful doing. You see what the judge said? She said, you shouldn't be doing meth. She said, you shouldn't be riding around smoking marijuana in San Antonio, Texas, like you won't get pulled over. Said you got to do what's right. Make a decision. What was she saying that was wrong? Someone that's high on drugs and they crash into somebody else and kill them. Someone that's high on drugs and, the drugs, be used as a catalyst to make them go and do what they shouldn't, enhance, numb their conscience because the drug, makes them to where they can't think logically at that time, being under influence. Probation means the release of an offender from detention, subject to a period of good behavior under supervision. You see that? So they couldn't do it. Why they give you probation? If people couldn't, everybody makes mistakes. So you're saying they're going to invest in all this time and money to create probation and parole, people that couldn't complete it. I completed parole. I didn't get locked back up on parole. You know what I told myself, man, I ain't about to be doing nothing that will get me locked back up. Even though I still was in the streets and stuff, but I had set limitations for myself. I had to be in by like 11 o'clock. I had to go see my parole officer. I couldn't smoke. I couldn't drink. I didn't do it. I'm like, forget that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could live without it. I'm talking about myself. I went to prison for 4 years. I had a 4-year sentence. I did 2 years. And I made parole. And on parole, I didn't get in trouble not one time. I had to do urine tests, all that stuff. And not one time was my urine test, dirty. I had any THC or any type of drug in there. I didn't smoke. So when you're saying that you can't, doesn't make any sense when I was a non-believer and I still complied to the rules that was set by my parole officer. You see what I'm saying? I had to go to school. I had to do all type of stuff. And I did those things. You see? So I was able to comply. This is why I'm free. You understand? That's all I'm just trying to tell you. And I was a non-believer, a gang leader at that. But I still found in myself to comply to laws and rules and regulations. Okay? Philippians 2, you know why it's easy to do it? Because most people are living without doing those things anyway. So because you got to go see a parole officer once a month or twice a month, whatever, or you got to pee in a cup, or, they come to your job or come to your house, it doesn't matter. We don't got anything to hide, what's going to happen. And most people who are living ethical and living law-abiding, they don't have drugs in their house. They don't have anything to hide at work. They're not doing anything to cause them to get arrested. So why should you be affected because somebody popping up on you? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, Philippians 2:15, that ye may be blameless and harmless, the sons of God, without rebuke. Do y'all hear that? What's rebuke mean? When someone does something and you express criticism, right, for their wrongdoing. The Bible said you may be blameless. Now look at the word blameless. Yeah, like y'all don't understand. Remember, they didn't say words that said today. But you know what these words mean, right? What does blameless mean? Okay, that means to be perfect, to be sinless. So that ye may be sinless, right, and harmless, the sons of God, without correction. You see that? You're not doing anything wrong. In the midst, because if you're blameless and harmless, why would you be corrected? Why would you need to be rebuked? Right? The sons of God, without rebuke, in the midst of a crooked and perverse nation, among whom you shine as lights in the world. You not shining, sinning sometime, or sometime I make a sin. Sometimes you're not shining. You're not an ambassador for Christ. You're like the rest of the world. Because that day that you get angry, lustful, whatever, watch porn, masturbate, the rest of the world doing the same thing. So you are not a leader. You are not someone that can lead people. You're not 300 pounds overweight. And you go to Planet Fitness once every year within the last 10 years. And you about to start a Get Fit company. Get Fit group at your house. And you only go to the gym one time a year. Come on, brothers and sisters. That's a hypocrite. Who's going to be encouraged by you? You don't know what it feel like to deny eating food. You don't know what it feel like to really be disciplined and express self-control in the places of eating. You don't know what it feels like. So how you going to motivate? You're not going to have no real passion. You're not going to look somebody in their eye and say, I know what you're going through. I know what it's like to be persecuted. I know what it's like to be called names. I know what it's like, to be looked at and despised for Christ's sake. That you don't know that feeling. Because no one's perfect. We all making mistakes. You ain't crossed over yet. You still doing things that non-believers do. You can't look somebody in their eye and say, man, that stuff is wrong. You shouldn't be doing it. And then give them a whole speech on why it's wrong. How are you going to do that when you doing it? Or are you going to find yourself doing it? Or you did it last week? You can't look nobody in the eye when you have a track record of doing the same thing a week or a month ago. How? You got to be living years without doing those things. You got to be building people up on why those things are wrong. You can't not be doing those things and tell somebody they shouldn't be doing it. You're a hypocrite. That's hypocrisy. That's biblical. Okay? Look at what Peter said. He said the same thing Paul said. You see how I just showed you James and Paul said the same thing? Now Peter and James, they were all in sync with one another because they all was true believers. They had the same spirit of faith. 2 Corinthians 4:13. 2 Peter 3:14. Wherefore, beloved, seeing that you look for such things, be diligent, that ye may be found of him in peace, without spot and blameless. So they're saying the same thing. But you got these false Christians who are not older than these words that's in the Bible, and they telling you that nobody is perfect. We all going to sin or make mistakes. That ain't what Peter and Paul and James and John and them are saying. They're not saying that. Romans 6. Look what Paul said. Romans 6 and verse 16. Know ye not, or don't you know, that whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey? So what he's saying is, Know you not that whatever you submit to, okay, that's whose servants you become, okay? So he's saying you have to yield first. Yielding is in your hand. They never ever say your flesh or the spirits, the evils. They never say that. It's still your choice. Satan is just like a peer pressure person. He's that's why they call it peer pressure, right? Because it's not him. Know ye not that whom ye are your servants, to whom you obey, servants you are to whom you obey, whether it's sin or death or obedience or righteousness. You see that? So he said, yield yourselves servants to obey. His servants ye are, to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or obedience unto righteousness. So you have a choice to obey sin, or you have a choice to obey righteousness. You're hearing it for you. I don't care what your mama done told me. My mama done told me. This is the truth. This is older than my mom. This is older than your dad. This is older than your grandma. This is older than anybody that has influenced you with some foolishness. This is older. You better stop. My church said, your church might not even be here 2 years later. Your church might not even be here 10 years down the road. But the word of God endureth forever. You understand? It's been here before your pastor thought to twist it up. It's been here before your mom thought to false teach you it. This has been written before. You are more loyal to something that is newly taught, that's a lie, than something that is oldly written in its ancient words that was written 2,000 years ago. But you're more loyal to something that was written 200 years ago when they discovered America. And that's where Christianity was formed, right? When the Europeans brought that falsehood over here, the false version of God's word. But look what Paul says. Let me read that again. His servants ye are, to whom ye obey. That's still your choice. Whether of sin unto death or of obedience unto righteousness. But look what he's saying in verse 17 to stamp it even further. But God be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine which was delivered to you. You see that? Because the grace that bringeth salvation has appeared to all men, teaching us that denying ungodliness and worldly lust, that we shall live soberly, righteously, and godly in this world. Now, let me run it all together because it's all the same word. But God be thanked that ye were the servants of sin, but ye have obeyed from the heart that form of doctrine, the gospel, which were delivered you. Being made free from sin, you became servants of righteousness. Thank you, sir. Proof right there. With that, I'm going to end the video. Love you all.